Hey everybody, welcome to another week wrap-up with SwingBadder. We got the crew here, Dad and Todd, and as always, we're going to start with the BadderFive. These are the teams that we didn't really have the best weeks. One could argue that they had the worst weeks. Now, last week I kind of did a summary of introduction, if you will, of what the BadderFive is going to look at. So just so everyone at home knows what I look at when I'm making this and putting it on BadderSports.com. What I look for is who has the least wins, most losses, and what is the runs? How did you do, and who did you do it against? So this is not a hard list to come up with because there are teams that literally come out of the gate terrible. And our first place winner this week is, again, a notorious one. The Colorado Rockies had what I would say, and it's a great BadderSports hat with the Rockies colors. I would say it's a memorable week for the Colorado Rockies because a lot happened. They also picked up their 7th win. So in the realm of things, it's kind of a big deal, and they picked it up against a division rival. So for those that think the Rockies still have a shot, they had a big win against the Padres. Now, if you're a Padres fan, I'm sorry, but that sounds really bad for you because you're the only team they beat this week. They were awesome. They were swept by Detroit. Nothing shocking there. They were also lost to the Padres pretty bad. This week, they were a minus 39 on the week. 6 games, minus 39. And
listen, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. It's so great to be good at something. I mean, really, truly good at something.
And they're good.
Uh-huh.
And they're starting to write articles about them. They're starting to we need to unpeel the onion, why they're so bad. I just look at the week.
Did they fire the manager before or after they beat the Padres?
They fired him, I believe, before they got the win.
The best part was John Heyman talking about the firing of the manager, announcing the new manager, and then ending the tweet with, "Pray for him."
Yes, you should. Yes, you should. The keynotes to the Rockies this year is they are spending $125 million for those 7 victories so far. Their record...
How much?
$125 million.
They just passed that in negative run differential. I think they're at negative 128. So
this is
impressive on so many levels.
We have to blame injuries, right? Because a lot of that money isn't playing. Chris Bryant's not playing.
No, there's some money not playing, but they also are paying some players to play for other teams. They combined, Chris Bryant and Nolan Arenado are the most expensive Colorado Rockies third baseman in the history of third baseman. I believe it's higher, or I think it's about the same as Rendon. So Colorado, so they have some no-shows at third base. So don't pay your third baseman. He won't show up. Or in the Rockies' case, they paid to say goodbye, and he went on one of the hottest teams currently in baseball, but that's more about who they played. And
I think they lost 3 players this week to the injured list.
Who? Were they suggested injuries? Like, you're getting injured this morning?
Who lost out? We're talking about
Colorado Rockies.
Colorado lost 3?
Yeah.
When you're not winning, everything hurts. So you go to the doctor and say, it's like the kid in school just is being threatened to get beat up, and he goes to the nurse so he can get sent home.
Well, these are injuries that hip, groin, and shoulder injuries that are it's a nondescript joint.
We have a second place team. The second place team was really in the running. This was a real close neck and neck week, everybody. The Washington Nationals also went 1-5 this week.
Disagree with this choice, by the way.
They were a minus 27 in run differential, which is pretty epic for a week. That the only thing that beats them is Colorado had 12, was a minus 39, which may set the record, but we'll see. The season is young. We have lots more to go. We have some teams that will be bad. So the Washington Nationals swept by St. Louis. This is the coup de grace to me about Washington. When they were swept by St. Louis, they scored a total of 3 runs in the sweeping. and then they lost the series to Cleveland. They did pick up a win against Cleveland, which is pretty epic, and they do pay $113 million for their record sitting at 17-24, which if you compare to Colorado, they're going to the playoffs.
So, Todd, why did you disagree with the pick?
I thought you should have picked the Pirates.
Oh, Pirates didn't even make my list.
Well, I know they didn't make your list, but I thought the Pirates were one of the 5 worst teams of last week, and I thought that they deserved to be in the batter 5.
I think you just brought them up so I could talk about how they beat the Braves twice.
Well,
the Pirates not only did
that's fine.
The Pirates ended up.
How many games did they actually win last week?
They had 3 wins, so they could
2-8 in the last 10.
Oh, I beg to differ. Oh no, you're right. They were 2-4. They were 2-4, and their run differential was very low, and because of that, and because they beat the Braves twice, that's why they did not make the list.
They also are enjoying a new manager.
Yes, their new manager helped them. Todd, in all reality, the reason why the Braves did not gain a lot of games on the Mets this week, besides the fact the Mets were one of the good teams, is because the Braves split with the Pirates.
Well,
so the Pirates did not end up in this lead because I also like to pick some teams that are good in record but bad in week.
They didn't split against the Pirates. They lost. They lost the series. They lost 2 or 3.
4-game set, 2-2. They played
the Braves?
Yes, they played a 4-game set against the Braves this week.
They played Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
On my show, my records show differently.
It must play Thursday. It must have played Thursday also.
Did not play on Thursday. Let's go to the videotape.
Oh, what did I have? The Pirates beat the Braves once. Is that what you're saying?
The Pirates beat the Braves on Friday 3-2, lost to the Braves on Saturday 2-3, and then beat the Braves 4-3 on Sunday. But before that,
they lost.
They got swept by the Cardinals, swept by the Padres.
No. The Padres don't count. It's just this week, Todd.
All right. Well, so they
you're right. The Pirates beat the Braves twice, which is why they're not in this. I thought they played 4 times. I apologize. They were
all right.
They were 2-4. They lost to the Cardinals, but this is what we have. So, anyways, on to my list, which the Pirates are not on because they played pretty good for them beating the Braves. The Nationals didn't have a good week. 3rd place, and the reason why they're 3rd place, they could have been 4th. I originally had them 4th, but I moved them up to 3rd for a very good reason. The 2-4 Florida Marlins, or Miami Marlins, as we like to say.
I agree with this one.
They were -15, and the key to this is they did lose both series. They did beat the Dodgers once, which makes my father and I very happy. So they beat the Dodgers once. They lost the series to the White Sox. And that's why they're 3rd and not 4th, because they should have beat the White Sox in the series, and they may have not made the list, because that 3rd win gets you out of the list. So 2-4 for the Miami Marlins. They have the lowest payroll in baseball at $68 million. We've talked about this. Their record is 15-24, not quite as smoking hot as the Nationals, but still a mile ahead of the Rockies. The fact that these bad teams are like 10 games ahead of the Rockies is quite remarkable.
Alcantara has been really disappointing. Really bad.
Like, trade me disappointing? Like, please get me off this team?
What are you going to trade him to?
I mean, he just wants to be let go.
You couldn't trade him. You couldn't trade him to a fishing boat that is for real Marlins.
There's tons of teams that need a starter. And this guy's got enough of a history that he's worth the risk.
May I?
Oh, yeah. Let's trade the guy who just gave up 9 in consecutive starts. That can't go horribly wrong.
He's not inspired. He needs to be around inspiration. Sometimes it's the artist needs a good environment to paint.
All right.
4th place is the White Sox. Again, this was neck and neck until they beat the Marlins. The nice thing about this weekly overview is we just look Monday through Sunday, folks. I don't look anything before or anything after. That's all I'm looking. Monday through Sunday. The White Sox played the Marlins, and that was the series for me to watch because both of these teams went into it thinking, I'm going to get first place, and The White Sox win this series. So the White Sox make it in this. They were swept in 4 games by Kansas City. It was quite remarkable. Kansas City was very happy, going up 4-0 on them. And then they proceeded to beat the Marlins, getting 2 games. They were a contender to go 0-4 this week after the sweep earlier in the week to Kansas City. I was like, ooh, if the Marlins sweep them, they could be first place. They could beat the Rockies. But that did not happen. They only had a run differential of -11, which is pretty good considering they were swept. And the White Sox, the Pope's team, has $73 million and a record of 12-29, which is very bad, worse than the other 2. However, still about 5 or 6 games ahead of the Rockies, with a 12 games wins and 29 losses, which is pretty remarkable.
Except for their Thursday game, and that's where you got mixed up with the Pirates. They basically had the same record in the last week as the Pirates.
The Pirates,
except for the Thursday game that they won.
Yeah, they're 2-5. Yes, if you're 2
they almost.
I have notables. Yes, they're 2-4 is you put you in contention. You win one game, you're in the list. Nothing, you're in the list. So the next 2 teams are both 2-4, but they're both lead their division. But what was shocking to me about these 2 teams is how they lost and who they lost to. So,
but we go back to the White Sox. They have 4 sweeps. They've been swept 4 times already in 2025.
When you only have 12 wins, you got to get swept a lot.
A lot? Like, you can't even sprinkle 1 in there somewhere?
This is what's lost in the Rockies' demise. The White Sox are not good. They're really bad. 12 games with 1.
Their pitching's been better, though.
Again, no one would write the articles they're writing about Colorado, about the White Sox, because there's things that are salvageable. The Rockies have a combination that is epic between bad pitching, bad hitting, bad everything. Like, the Rockies are literally setting the world ablaze with how bad they are. So the White Sox with 12 wins look very normal at 12-29.
But that's only because of Colorado, you're saying. Like, without Colorado, the White Sox are just a very...
We're talking about how bad the White Sox are, but just it's hard to really comprehend how bad the Rockies are, because 7 single-digit wins this late in the season is wild.
Yeah. Have you seen the injury list for the White Sox, though? The injury updates is mind-blowing.
Well,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It just keeps going. I think there's like 12 or 15 guys injured.
There's a lot of guys don't want to play. So
well, you know, I'm not saying anything for motivation here. I'm just telling you, it's like a merry-go-round of injuries. It's just who's on the ride this week.
So those are 4 teams that we could say will probably be in the BadderFive. And what's great is we get to the All-Star break, I'm going to give you who has done the worst, who's been in the most BadderFives, how many first place finishes. Right now the Rockies are running away with it. But you know, there's always room, everybody. Everybody can join. So 2 teams that are with winning records and actually ahead in their division but had very struggling weeks. Seattle had a tough week. They were 2-4. They were swept by the Blue Jays. This is why they made the list. The Blue Jays are not a good team, and they were swept with a run differential of 7 runs scored versus 21 allowed and a 3-game tilt. Not a good series for them. They did win the opening series against the A's, just 2 wins, 1 loss. So they were 2-4 on the week, which puts them in the list. They are in first place, by the way, in the AL West, which is struggling, and that payroll is $152 million. Their record's 22-17, so it's, again, they're where they want to be. But this was a week to me for Seattle. This is a team that you start playing really well, you can project yourself, give yourself a nice big lead here in this division, but that's not happening.
And you're happy with this. You're happy with this list where you're putting Seattle, a team in first place on the BadderFive. You're happy with it. You're pleased with yourself and the work that you've done here.
The last 7 days, Seattle got swept by the Blue Jays.
Yeah, but why aren't the Blue Jays on the list if they're that bad?
Because the Blue Jays had a winning record on the week.
All right.
So who is the other first place team that was close to Seattle?
Your Chicago Cubs. And the Chicago Cubs, the reason why they're on the list is they lost the series to the Giants. I can accept them losing the series to the Mets because the Mets are good. The Giants had a bad week. The only reason the Giants are on the list is because the Cubs beat them out. The Giants got swept after they beat the Cubs in their series. The Cubs had a minus 12 run differential. The other thing that was alarming to me when I looked up some stats on the Cubs, they're currently 8th place in the most runs allowed in the Major League Baseball. They score a lot of runs, but they giveth. And that, if you look at their scores, you're going to see some offense when you watch the Cubs.
Their bullpen is not good. That is not, like, I noticed watching the Mets. You just basically bide your time till you get to the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings.
And that'll be a big problem for them. They are now, their lead in the division is very, very light. The Cardinals were 6-0 this week. The Cardinals were on fire. They were plus 26. The Cardinals came out on fire this week. And the Twins as well. They both won 8 games in a row, so we'll see how they do.
They're not in the same league.
I know they're not in the same league, but the Twins and Cardinals are both on an 8-game winning streak, everybody.
Wow.
So
that American League.
You missed another team.
That American League.
You put the Mariners and the Cubs as tied for 5th, which makes it a batter 6.
No.
You want to keep it just
batter 5, and I always have a tie place in 5th place because sometimes it's too hard to tell.
You're too hard to tell.
Who did I miss now? You already complained about the Pirates because you want to just bury the poor Pirates.
Same division.
The Reds.
This same horrible National League Central Division that shouldn't even be in baseball. The Cincinnati Reds were a pile of dog vomit.
They were bad this week, I agree. But they were
2 wins.
Yes.
They lost 3 to the Braves.
Yes.
And only won 1. Lost 2 to the Astros, only won 1. They did 2 wins.
Yes. They were not good this week. However, I also go with
They're not in first place either.
I know they're not in first place. You can feel free to people can agree with Todd, disagree with me, but that's the BadderFive. It goes out every Monday. We put it out there on BadderSports.com. We talk about it here. Obviously, the BadderFive is lively today. 2 first-place teams.
3 blown leads. Alexis Diaz is losing his closing role. You got big problems in Cincy.
Here's the thing that I have found interesting in doing the BadderFive so far. The top 3 BadderFive are clear. They are clearly wanting to be on the list. The next 2 or 3 teams, I use my discretion. I use my biases, if you will. So, Todd, you commented about the Rockies' run differential on the year, and you're not wrong. The Rockies have a payroll of $125 million. After 40 games, this is not a 100-game season. They really wish it was. After 40 games, which means we're a quarter of the way through the season, they're a minus 128.
It's beautiful.
Like, this is so amazing to witness. The next worst team is half. Half.
Keep it going. Who is it?
No, it's minus 69. The Miami Marlins.
I love it.
It's not even. If you said this before the year, I'm going to bet the Rockies are going to have double before the start. This is crazy.
Well, part of this is this stupid rule that baseball put in where once you're like up by 10, you can just throw any fatso on the mound to slow pitch it in there. And so teams are teeing off like it's a football game. That's part of this whole thing, right?
The Rockies this week,
just this week alone,
just in the last week, they lost 21-0, 10-2, I think, and 10-1. Just in this week.
Mm-hmm.
And if they hadn't beat the Padres by an astounding 9-3, this was worse before Sunday.
Yeah.
I once looked up teams with horrible records, at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of those teams had a minimum of a 5-game winning streak during that horrible season. So somewhere down the road is this team capable of a 5-game winning streak? And I would say, yeah, it's baseball.
Yeah.
You win games you're not supposed to win because
This team's not capable of a 2-game winning streak.
well, we have to see. I do notice, and this will change, but tonight they are shutting out the Rangers.
What?
Yeah, in the third inning.
Oh, it's the third. That's not a shutout.
Third inning's done, and they're up a stunning 1-0.
In T-ball, they only have 3 more innings to go.
I just want to tell you a stat about the Rockies that is really good. We go over we go over whips that are really bad, right? Now, one of the pitchers on the Rockies is by far, he was terrible. Jermaine Marquis. Remember Jermaine, right?
International man of mystery.
Jermaine Marquis was really bad. He pitched on Sunday. He pitched over 7 innings. He was amazing. I say this because he got the win. Do you know what he lowered his whip to?
Was it over 2?
No, he lowered it to a 1.7.
Whoa!
He is 1-6 with an 8.27 ERA. The batting average went down, I believe, last week. It was like 360. He's down to a 327 against him after that pitching outing.
That's impressive.
He's the ace.
Love it.
Oh, of course.
Because, again, the other thing that's shocking is winning pitchers, starting pitchers and their wins. The Rockies, of the 7 wins they have, I think 4 are by their starters. I was very impressed by that.
That's because, listen to me, when the ancient Mayans or the Aztecs were sacrificing people on the temples, you just knew this guy was going to get his heart carved out and tossed down the temple stairs. You just let him go. There's no sense sending in a reliever. He's getting the heart carved out anyway. There's no sense in saving him because we're taking your heart. So the starters go out there. Of course the starter's going to get the win. What are you going to do? You're going to throw in a reliever like you have a chance? You're going to let the starter go?
I can only imagine what... I agree with you, but the new manager clearly had a great pep talk. It was the other manager would just show up and barely get...
You talk about the lack of bullpen for the Cubs.
Yes.
I think the Cubs bullpen, if we lay it side by side, is stunning compared to the Rockies bullpen. If the Rockies bullpen hasn't got, do they have any saves? They got 7 wins. Somebody must have got a save. The starter's not going 9 innings.
No, the starter never goes 9 innings. I don't know if the Rockies have any saves. Todd will probably look that up.
Let's look.
Todd will look it up fast.
Well, some of the wins came
7 wins. Let's guess how many saves. How many saves do you think?
3.
3? I'll say the 4 starters won, so I'll say 4.
I think we talked about this last time because we were like, hey, what's the deal?
Because again, this is a team that's for the ages, and there's so many bad teams that are playing.
Holy cow!
What do you got?
You got 5 saves.
There we go.
5 out of 7.
But there are 4 pitchers that have those saves.
So they don't have a closer.
No,
because you just don't. Well, the
closer by committee.
Closest they've gotten is Zach Agnos with 2 saves on 2 save opportunities.
This was the old management. Now they have new management. They didn't get a save on Sunday.
Schaefer's going to come in and turn this thing around?
He's not going to go out there and call the wrong number.
This guy with 2 saves, we know relievers got to have low ERAs. What's his ERA, the guy with 2 saves?
This is the deal. This guy's ERA, 0.87.
Trade him. Trade him right now.
He's got 2 saves on 2 save opportunities. He's thrown 10 innings. He's allowed 9 hits, 3 runs, 1 earned. 1 earned.
Call up the Rockies.
4 strikeouts.
They need everything. This
whip is a measly 0.87. He hasn't walked the guy.
Yeah, he's getting traded.
Zach Agnos, you are the next contestant on Trade Bait. Come on down. And Dude Sports a wicked stash.
The other series I want to make a note of this week that I really was entertained with, even though neither team made the list because of this series, but the Angels played the Orioles. And for me at SwingBadder, that was delightful. The Angels are trying to make sure they're finishing last, and the Orioles have decided we're the old Orioles. We're back. And it's these two teams are not pretty. Again, if the Rockies don't exist, everyone's talking about the Orioles are 15-24 and how bad they are. And then the Angels are 16-23 and they're terrible. Like both of these teams, whatever we didn't put by the Angels, but the Orioles, everyone thought were going to be, they're really bad. And they're bad.
Why couldn't they have played 4 games? The way, I mean, like then you could have gone 2-2 and everybody loses accordingly. 3 games, one team's going to be a winner.
I know, and it's disappointing. I keep waiting for them to play for a tie, like weather, like the lights went out.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
The Angels even took 2 or 3 from the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I know. I was really thinking the Blue Jays were going to be on the list. I was really looking forward to it, and then the Blue Jays swept. This is why they swept.
Message Toronto. You're not off the list. It's coming.
Yeah, Toronto.
You're on the backup list, and he's eyeing you. He's looking for you.
The Pittsburgh Pirates are 14 as well, 14-27. Oh,
I told you.
You know how money experts like to find a low-priced stock. So I would say tempting would be Baltimore. Eventually, something's got to happen. That team's going to start winning. I mean, are they this really that bad? I mean,
you figure there's got to be some sort of regression to the mean, right?
They haven't fired their pitching coach, which is what they need to do. Their pitching is really bad. Like this, their pitching. If you look at runs allowed, they've allowed 212 runs. They're a -65. It's bad.
The Orioles were second in baseball last year in home runs. Second in home runs last year.
Okay.
This year, they are a distant turd. Not third, a distant turd. They are 11th. Yankees have 70. They have 46. They're trailing dramatically. Their average is down 13 points. So, Dad, if you're thinking there's a regression to the mean there with the Orioles, their offense has to come back. Has to come back.
You're asking for this is my I understand what you're saying, Dad, but the problem with the Orioles is the pitching is so bad and the hitting's not there. You're asking for them to be a different team. We've been 40 games now. Like we're 40 games in and they're not good. And they have a lot of starting pitchers that they keep playing Charlie Morton. They need to send him away. Charlie Morton.
Their ERA is really dramatically worse than last year.
Oh,
last year they were 11th in Major League Baseball with their ERA, and this year they're all the way down. They're at 27th. They're behind the Angels.
It's really bad. It's really, really bad.
You know what this reminds me? But honestly, think about this. It reminds me of the Mets last year. The Mets last year in April and May couldn't get it together. Grimace came out and threw a first pitch, and then all of a sudden, June through September, they were the best team in baseball. It could happen with Baltimore.
Yeah, that's, what do you call that? Regression to the mean or something?
Yeah.
If you just look at Charlie Morton's numbers, his numbers, I'm just going to go over. He's 0-7 on the year so far with an 8.82 ERA. He's been moved to the bullpen. He's not moved out of the ballpark. He's in the bullpen. He's started 6 games. He's played in 10. He has a 1.96 whip. It's over. This is really bad Russ Ortiz numbers, Dad, when we were we got to send him away.
Maybe it's just mechanics.
Oh, he's too old to make it mechanics. He's
How old
too
is he?
old. Charlie Morton, I think he's in his 30s. I know he's beyond the prime age of a contract. This is his last contract. He's pitched 33 2/3 innings to get these stats. It's not like he's pitched a little bit. You're a quarter of the way. If he goes a full 120, what is he going to get down to? A 5? A 5 would be miraculous.
Yeah.
This is your kid after the first semester. He's first
How many
quarter
innings has he pitched?
33 2/3.
And he's at a 7?
An 8.82 with a 1.96 whip.
Oh, Jesus, take the wheel.
It's not
So if 24, I can't even math that. How do you get to 5? He's got to pitch 40 innings of no run ball.
It's not.
or something to get down to a
You
5.
gotta let him go. The thing that is good about Colorado having 7 wins is they're continuing to put out their starters. So Jermaine, like I said, had a great start. He had a great start.
Against who?
He pitched against the Padres.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
He had a great start.
Did the Padres play their players or did they sit everybody?
Nope.
Because Sunday's traditionally a day of rest in baseball. You take the game and if you...
When you play the Rockies, it's a day called the Day of Stats. So everyone wants to play the Rockies to get paid. And they were very underwhelming in that game. Antonio
was a guy named Dolander has pitched 4 shutout innings against the Rangers tonight.
The way the Rangers score runs, where are the Rangers on runs scored, Todd? I believe they're second. The second.
Hold on, please.
Or third? No, they're third in the most runs scored or least runs scored. The Rangers are
runs
scored. The Rangers are not pretty.
They're 4th from the bottom.
Yes, and they're close. Like they're in the hunt.
Yeah, because 139 is the Chicago White Sox. Rockies are 134, and Pittsburgh Pirates are 128. Telling you, I'm going to keep pestering you till you put the Pirates in the list.
Hey, they got it. They got
belong there.
We'll see what happens, but the Pirates are there. Let's talk about our boy Antonio. Antonio Sensatella.
We got to have theme music for Sensatella.
He's the best guy to follow. He's going to...
Sensatella update.
So he has...
That's all you need. Something just quick.
Perfect. He has 8 games started. We're 40 games in. 8 games started, which puts him at how many games is he going to pitch? 8 times 4.
Which is 32.
32 games started. Please God, let him pitch 32. This is my prayer every night. Antonio's 1-6 with a 5.77 ERA. That is really good. His whip's a 1.92.
It's the best.
The fact that his ERA is that low is so impressive with a 1.92 whip. I want to know, one of the things I need to look at is left on base for pitchers. I bet you Antonio is leading the leagues in left on base. He leaves runners on base.
After those first few games.
Oh, his first two games were epic. So he's pitched 39 innings, and he's got 8 starts. So he's still pitching, and him and Jermaine they're gonna carry the Rockies. They're gonna carry the Rockies.
5.77. That's amazing. 39. God, it's just brutal.
Yeah, because if you match his ERA to like Jermaine Marquis has a 1.70 whip, he's got an ERA 8.27. His ERA is so low right now.
Bradley Blaylock has a 12.94 ERA on 16 innings.
That's not very good. Dad,
no.
we have an Arizona problem on the ERA whip I was noticing.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yeah.
He has not performed very well.
Yeah, this is the 2nd year in a row.
He has 8 starts. He's 1-3 with a 6.86 and a 1.67 on his whip. 40 2/3 innings, so they keep going to him.
He's got to be tipping pitches.
He's tipping something. It's not pretty, guys. I'm telling you, the Diamondbacks have a pitching problem. Their hitting, I think, is okay, but their pitching needs to be figured out. Dad was touting about how we have 7 starters, and as I wear my D-backs jersey, the 7 starters aren't doing it. And then our relievers, oh my Lord.
Ginkle, Mantiply, Castillo, all of them with ERAs above 10.
The Diamondbacks had the worst loss of their year this week against the Dodgers. They were ahead by 1 in the 8th inning. They decided to hit not 1, but 2 home runs, 2 solo home runs. They're now ahead by 3 going into the 9th.
To be fair, everybody has the worst loss of the season against the Dodgers.
That's unacceptable.
If you escape L.A. and you allow less than 5 runs, is it really a loss?
What's 14?
They were ahead 11-8 going into the 9th, and our reliever allowed the first 4 guys to get on, not by walks, like just ripping the ball all over the place.
11 pitches that gave up the lead. Well, here's the deal. Here's the Homer explanation.
Thank you, Dad. I appreciate it.
Diamondbacks' 2 closers are both out, and we didn't have a great closer to begin with, so we don't have a closer at all. And but it's getting brighter. We have 2 coming back this week. That will help the bullpen. And in terms of Eduardo Rodriguez,
Yes.
we have a guy named Ryan Nelson who hasn't started yet, and he's really good. So he could give Eddie a couple of weeks off if they moved him in. There's, I believe, light at the end of the tunnel, but there's no doubt it's been a disappointing start.
Here's the light for you, and I agree with you, because, again, if the Diamondbacks were Baltimore 15-24, we would be panicking. They're not 15-24. They have a winning record, and they're currently, even though they're sitting in 4th place at a 21-20 record, you know what? They're very much in striking distance of what they want to do, because they haven't played that great. Again, they're plus-minus, they're -2. 206 runs scored, which is really good, and 208 runs allowed, which is really bad. So if they can figure out pitching, their hitting is good.
Mm-hmm.
Hitting is on point. But Diamondbacks were right there, Dad. They were 2-4 this week. They were right there.
On the cusp.
They were on the list. They almost made it. So, you guys want to hear about strikeouts? I think strikeouts are where we need to go.
Are we talking about batters striking out?
You
or
are
pitchers
correct.
getting? Oh, batters striking out. Okay.
So our third baseman for the Rockies has really fallen in this category. He's really making contact. This is the third baseman, Ryan. Household name. Ryan McMahon.
Yeah.
He has 49 strikeouts. He's up to 6 home runs, had a pretty good week. He's currently 7th.
I picked him up in fantasy a week ago, by the way.
This is why. But I have to tell you, Colorado, the first baseman, is still in the lead with 55 strikeouts. He has up to 5 home runs. And, he's ahead by 1 over Brian Buxton and Eddie De La Cruz. Both have 54. And in 4th is Austin Riley, Trevor Story, and Brian Reynolds of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm shocked we don't have more Pirates on the list. But yeah, Colorado's 1st and 3rd are still there. But however, the Colorado Rockies third baseman is starting to figure out his average is a blistering, and I mean blistering because when we started, it was in the 150s. He's 211 now.
He's hot.
And Michael's up to 204. So, in all reality, the Colorado Rockies are starting to put some things together, and Sunday was a great day for them.
5 in a row sometime coming up.
We're following live as the Rockies are battling the Rangers to try to see who can.
Do you guys notice every week we get obsessed with talking about the Rockies, and every week, the day after the episode is released, they do something totally impressive?
They did not last week.
They did. They were 21-3 in a doubleheader.
Oh yeah, that was a great doubleheader. The rain out really they took. That was. The Tigers are like, yes. I was thinking this too. Like if you're looking at contracts, how many stat fillers happens against the terrible teams? Like I was talking to a guy who's a big Yankee fan, and I just said, how do you like Judge so far? And he goes, oh, Mr. May. Yeah. Mr. May, I still remember what you did in October, Mr. May. And I was like, geez. Okay.
First of all, you can't on one hand say, this guy's horrible because we're 40 games in and this is what he is. And then turn around and look at what this guy's done in the first 40 games. And maybe this is what he is.
Why is it about Yankee fans that they're all chicken littles? Or sky's falling. We're never going to win another game. Yeah. Every other team in the league wish they had the players and record of the Yankees, except the Dodgers.
I think that Yankees fans still imagine that time period between 96 and 2000 was normal.
Yeah, I would say that's correct.
Yeah.
I think Boston fans feel that way when they went on their run for a little bit. I think when you have a run like that and you get used to it, it's like, hey, we're always going to be there. And it doesn't really happen. I think this is historic what Judge has done so far. Like he's leading every category in baseball. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. This is amazing
it's not
to watch.
Even close.
He's not a slow starter. Like you're not going, where did Judge go?
Not at all.
If you were to, my favorite, I'm shocked the Yankees haven't had this question to him. Hey, do you miss Soto?
No, they've asked him that.
Oh, they did? Okay. Because I was like,
no comment.
He's a smart guy. The thing that's interesting to me about the records that are jumping off the charts to me, the Mets, I feel, are playing really good baseball. Their pitching has been really good. Their pitching is, I should say, their pitching's been ecstatic. I mean, it's just their runs allowed is really, really off the charts, excellent. And they're scoring really good. There's just the team that continues to pop at me is the Tigers. They continue to pitch well and they continue to hit well. They have a fantastic run differential. The Mets are right there with them, and so are the Yankees. But, when I look at runs allowed, the Mets are at 132 and Detroit's at 142. I mean, that's pretty great. And I know the Yankees are at 160. The Dodgers are up there at 183. But, I mean, I just look at this and I say, what is going to win in the playoffs? What wins in the playoffs? Pitching. And right now, from what I'm seeing, I know we're only 40 games in, but the starting pitching is very strong. Like, if you're the Tiger, I don't want to face the Tigers in the playoffs. If they're this way, again, we're very early. They have to sustain it, keep it. But, like, to me, the Dodgers and the Cubs, I wouldn't mind facing them in the playoffs.
Oh, no, yeah.
Their pitching is not doing that good.
The American League.
Listen, if you're going to go on that theme, Dad, sorry, I'm just going to say, then you got to put the Kansas City Royals in there as a wild card, because that team, their pitching is fantastic.
The American League Central right now is really impressive. I mean, last 10 games, Detroit 7-3, Kansas City 7-3, Minnesota 8-2.
Yep.
And then Cleveland is doing well, but they're 6-4. They're in fourth place in terms of the week.
Yep.
At 600. So
and 3 of those teams are in the top 5 for ERA in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, the AL Central is a lot better. I would say that, so far the AL East has been disappointing. I would say that's been.
I think we didn't expect the Blue Jays to be awesome, but we didn't expect them to be this bad. We did not expect the Orioles to be bad at all. Right. We expected the Yankees to be good. And I think we probably expected Boston to come out a little bit harder.
Yeah, there are some teams really that are really surprising on the negative side. They're just really surprised that they're that bad. So
I would agree with you. I think the Braves are starting to figure it out, like Dad said. I mean, they're playing 50-50 ball now, which means, when they started 2-8, they had their 8-2. So they're 19-21. But the Phillies and Mets, for the Braves to catch them, they got to hope that those two teams go in a little bit of a slump, which it's a long season. Dad, you've seen it all.
Possible. It's possible.
Very possible, but both the Phillies and the Mets are playing pretty strong baseball. I think the biggest observation about the bad teams to me is that the A's are not even close to bad.
No.
The A's are basically they're playing better than the Braves. They're in line with, they're better. They're in every division if you put them in every division. 21-20. And
wild card.
Their runs allowed is 218, which is not good. So I'm expecting this to get worse, but every week if you watch them, like I did this week, every game's competitive. They're not getting smoked. They're not getting blown out. I think the A's have done a really good job. I think the manager's done a good job. I think the GM's done a good job. That team is competitive. I mean, if I compare it to some of the teams that are disappointing me, the A's are by far. I'm very happy if I'm an A's fan.
Would you have said 40 games in that the A's would have more wins than the Braves?
No. Not a chance.
I wouldn't have said that. I thought the A's had a chance at a wild card. I didn't think that was the thing.
No.
I didn't think that was going to happen.
Stop the printing. I just have a live report from Arlington. Mr. Dolander of the Rockies, in 5 innings, is pitching a no-hitter. They are carrying him off the field. They
think it's over.
They think it's a Little League game and it's over. They're carrying Dolander off the field for a no-hitter.
Like, stop playing right now.
This may be the saddest state for our poor analysis Aiden on the Rangers.
Oh my gosh, the Rangers! If this continues, just keep razor blades away from that kid.
This is
terrible.
amazing. They're getting no hit by the Rockies. I literally looked at this schedule.
How do you do that?
And I was like, man, the Rangers are going to solve all of their runs problems in one series. They're going to score 30, and then everyone's going to go, oh, look at them. They got a really.
It still could end up 8-1 at the end, but
this is. Can you imagine going to the game? You're like, we're going to score 100. You haven't gotten a hit. Didn't we talk about how they didn't have any 1, 2, 3 innings?
Correct.
This is
he's only thrown 63 pitches in 5 innings, so he's fresh.
He's allowed 1 walk. This is pretty remarkable. And it's not like the Texas pitcher's doing bad. They're only ahead 1-0.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a crazy. The other team I was going to say that I'm surprised with, besides the A's, and I'm in the same area, is the Giants. The Giants are not just kind of good. They're 24-17, and they have been good all year long. They have a great plus-minus run differential. I mean, their pitching's been solid. I know they lost 3 in a row here. They got swept at the end of it, but when I look at them as a team, I expected them to fall off before now. But 24-17 in that division, that's, they're ahead of the Diamondbacks. I didn't have them there. I can still see them finishing 4th, but they had a great start. They've had a great start. And especially if you look at the Padres and the Dodgers, I mean, they're right there.
Interestingly enough, in that division, I don't know if it's this way in every division, they haven't played many games against each other.
It's every division now. It's such a waste. What's the point of the division?
So the reason there's 4 teams with winning records in the National League West, they haven't played each other very much.
Correct.
So
the problem is, again, this schedule doesn't allow them to all beat each other up. The other thing that's interesting to me is the Cardinals are then very hot, but you got to look at who they played.
Right. Well,
I mean, you play who you play, but they swept the teams. Congratulations. But I can tell you one thing: being in that Cardinal Stadium, those old folks that were around me when I was sitting there complaining about this team, they're pretty happy right now.
Oh my gosh, they should be.
They're feeling pretty good. Only 1 game behind the Cubs because the Cubs faltered a little bit. So that's my week in the review for SwingBadder. Any other notes, Todd, for your team that you have to contend with or worry about?
I'm not worried. It's just really strange to me. Juan Soto just doesn't seem, is not clicking at all with the Mets. I watch the games. There seems I just don't feel like there's an emotional connect there with the team. And anytime something's clutch or the Mets are scoring, he's not a part of it. He's just not, like, he's not getting hits when the rest of the team is hitting. When he hits home runs, it's either with nobody on base or when the Mets lose. Like, he just came up now in this game with the Pirates. He got the RBI. It was 1st and 3rd, 1 out. He got the RBI. He grounded out to first place. You kind of expect the guy to either get a hit, a sacrifice fly, something. He grounded out to first base, and the center fielder, because he had speed, scored.
I'm just gonna...
It probably a stupid play by the first baseman, not watching it, but just like, how do your first baseman ground out? How do you not go home with that? Unless he's like running on the crack. I don't know.
I'm just gonna tell you what you have to give him till the All-Star break. The biggest problem, I mean, what was the deal? How much money did he get? 500, 600?
Gazillion dollars.
Okay, when you play baseball and you get that contract and then you do all of the promotions that they do, because it's not just the contract and you go be with the team. They're putting you everywhere. So a baseball player in the human psychology that I've seen with every big contract, the first 80, 60 games, they're trying to do a $600, $500 million performance every at bat. So every at bat, they're pressing, they're trying to do too much. They're not in like a good rhythm. A lot of players, after they sign a big deal, don't figure it out till year 2 because they've had year 1 and then no one's talking about them. They can have a real offseason. That's the other part about it. He was on the Yankees, then he's on the Mets, and it's a big deal, right? Everyone's talking about him. So does he figure it out by game 90, game 80, or is this into year 2 when he starts to feel like himself again?
But this is why I thought guys like Jose Iglesias were so important to the Mets because of the chemistry he brought to it, and why Jeff McNeil is toxic to this team. Since he has been back from injury, this team has moped around the field. Even when they win, it's like they're drinking lemon juice. Jeff McNeil cannot be traded fast enough. Trade him to the Rockies for that one guy that can pitch. Eat 100% of the salary. Do it.
It's interesting that you called that, and then you've been upset ever since he came back. And they haven't performed poorly, but they are not as hot as they were. I do like the fact that you just don't like him.
Look at his face.
Why
every time he's at bat?
Why don't you trade him for the greasy-haired guy for the Phillies?
Oh, Marsh?
Who's so hard to watch, in both live and on TV, because you're like, I don't know who.
He looks like the brother of the Unabomber.
Jeez.
I was thinking that.
Pete Alonso just got another RBI.
That's, again, Pete Alonso's been excellent. Excellent to start the year. Just beyond your wildest dreams, Pete Alonso's been.
Oh, yeah. Pete Alonso's been great.
So when I look at the landscape, so you're concerned with the Mets, you're concerned with Soto.
I'm not concerned. Something's off.
You just
and I think it's Sourpuss McNeil. And if we can get rid of Sourpuss McNeil, Juan Soto will be happier, and he will loosen up.
I'm put my faith in the fact that you have a player that I didn't like the trade when they got Lindor, and Lindor has played very well for the Mets. And you love Lindor. I think there's a lot of faith in what Lindor can do with Soto and bringing everyone together. I just feel like when you get to the second half of the season, Juan Soto is going to be the reason why you're winning like half of your games.
There's going to come a streak of like 10 games where Juan Soto is going to be the reason we win every single one.
Yeah, he's that good.
It's coming.
He's that good. And again, it doesn't help with everything that's going on. But I just think the off season's off. Things are off. Dad, what are your concerns about your team as we enter into this next frame of May?
The Diamondbacks this week end a 16 games in 16 days against Braves, Mets, Phillies, Mets, Dodgers. So it's been rough, and they haven't had any bullpen. But the bullpen's getting 2 healthy guys back this week, and that was a gamut. We'll see if they continue to play 500 ball. That's not great. They got to pick it up, but we'll see.
Well, I think the Rockies are taking a lot of oxygen. I would love to see them not make my batter 5. So maybe they get a no-no. Maybe they beat the Rangers in a series. They win a couple.
Don't count on it.
Okay, well,
Don't count on it.
I'm excited every week about putting the batter 5 together. It's a good time. I look forward to posting that. These are great conversations that we have about these teams. Please feel free to comment about which teams that you may agree with on Todd there. Which pitcher are we missing? Which hitter is not performing to the way that you have hoped this year? We'll be happy to talk about him as we move on, because we're just going to leave the anchor behind at some point. We got to cut the Rockies off and move on to teams that are poorly performing.
Like the minor leagues?
Do we?
Well, I mean, like,
did we just do a batter 5 and make it obvious the Rockies?
Hey, the Rockies are going to have a decent week, and they'll come off the list.
That's what I said.
My cup runneth over with horribleness.
Well, it's baseball. The good news is the Mets are way ahead. The Diamondbacks are 4th. We got a lot of baseball left. We're 40 games into this experiment. We got another 120 to go. And sadly, the Rockies have to play all 120. So, them and the Pirates. We'll see who wins. There you go, folks. For Swing Batter's Weekly Recap, I am your host, Brendan. That is, as always, Todd, and that is my father. Thank you all for joining us. And I think the closing remarks, Dad, I forgot to ask you about having a pope who is a baseball fan. I was going to ask you, as a Catholic family getting raised, we've never thought we'd have an American pope. Now that you have a pope who also likes baseball, you must be just overjoyed.
I don't know if it's a sign of end times or that things are finally coming together and we're going to be fine. I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely different.
It's typical Chicago.
Yeah. You heard the joke, right?
What's that?
Now that he's Pope, nobody can put ketchup on hot dogs.
Oh, jeez.
This gets us in now.
Well, the Chicago would still find something to be a martyr about.
Sure.
First American pope. Took too long.
Right.
Well, I mean, again, you could be those kind of fans. Well, as always, I'm your host, Brendan. Thanks, everybody, for joining. You guys have a great night. Bye.
All right, guys.